Welcome to Politics. This is a podcast about politics in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that book series. Today we have a very special guest. I'm so excited to have Rex Hadden on the podcast today. And you might know him from podcasts such as Speak Beastie from our lovely MuggleNet. And you have also been in MuggleCast, correct?
No, but I also co-host Alohomora.
Oh, yes. Alohomora. See, one of the two wonderful podcasts.
But how's it going, Adri?
As we spoke right before I started to hit record, it's a Wednesday when we record, middle of the week.
Hump day!
Surviving, just living for that weekend.
I feel that on a spiritual level.
It's funny because every time I talk to Helene, she's like, you remind me so much of Rex. And I was like, we would probably either love each other or hate each other. There's no in between.
Yeah, Helene's told me that about you as well.
We'll see. This is going to be really interesting, guys.
Because, we haven't physically talked. We've, chatted via social media.
Yes. And also, you've been to my island on Animal Crossing.
Yeah, on Animal Crossing when I was, addicted to... I haven't played that game in, I would say 7 months.
I get, back into it for, a week, and then I forget about it.
Well, I opened it, and I just saw the weeds on my island, so I turned it off because it gave me anxiety.
Yeah, every time I just go and oh, fuck, I gotta pick up 120 weeds off my island.
I was like, I don't want to do that right now. But I go through phases with my Switch. There'll be a couple weeks where I just won't play it because I don't want to, but I'm gearing up for the new Pokemon Snap game to come out later this month.
Everyone's really excited about it. I'm like, should I pre-order it? Should I get it? Should I not?
Oh, mine's pre-ordered. I'm a little slut for taking pictures of Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm like, do I need yet another game that I'm going to kind of abandon in a week,
Will it bring you joy, though?
It's just that, is this the reverse Marie Kondo, but still with joy?
Yes.
I knew instinctually that you and I have the same philosophy. I'm trying to be coy and be like, I'm a responsible adult, but of course, 99% of me is should I check Amazon or GameStop first? Maybe I should just download it once it comes out, so it's in my console.
Oh, mine's gonna be downloaded to my console.
So
when it comes out.
These are the minutia that occupy my brain. But enough about Nintendo Switch. We have to get to know each other, and the only way we know how to do that in this podcast is to ask some basic but formative questions about your experience with Harry Potter.
I think that's any Harry Potter podcast,
right? What else is there?
I don't think they'll ask obscure questions like your star sign, which I'm a Sagittarius.
You are? Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. I'm a Gemini.
Oh, my parents are Geminis.
I feel like we are on opposite ends of the chart, which usually means compatibility.
Oh, so you're gonna leave your husband?
Well, he's also a Sagittarius. That's the there's the rub. I'm already there. But compatibility can be more than just that. It could just be we're gonna get along just fine. So that's your sun sign. Do you know your moon and your rising? Because that would be a very Trelawney meets Harry Potter podcast.
I deleted CoStar, so
How dare you, Rex? How dare you?
I thought it was stupid.
I got Helene into it, man. So the first co-host I had, one Miss Erin Barrio, got me into CoStar, and I was like, "That's stupid." And now I'm so into it. It's I'm ridiculous.
Okay, I'm re-downloading CoStar.
All right, so
but
we will circle back. We will circle back to your Moon and Rising. Tell us about the first time you read Harry Potter. What was it like?
So, as a child, I struggled to read,
Mm-hmm.
and reading is hard. Words are hard. So, I think this is when the second or third book came out. It was already pretty big, and my mom was just like, "Oh, let's try this." So we would like read it together, and I really enjoyed it. My mom then would get the audio cassettes or CDs.
Whew.
Um, and as I was driving to extracurriculars or just family road trips, she would play the audio tapes and I would follow along in the book. And that's kind of how I learned to read.
I had, I believe, the tapes to this particular book, Order of the Phoenix. And I think it was like 19 or 20 tapes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, they were all an absurd amount of tapes.
Yeah. Just
Even CDs if you got a compact disc.
it just the level of like bulk in audiobooks to my mind now, like 2021, we have Libby, which does like the library audiobooks. We have
Or
Audible,
Audible.
who, like has,
Oh, like I have all the Harry Potter books on my phone right now.
same. You were like enthralled by the series, like from go.
Oh, duh, who doesn't want to fucking go to Hogwarts?
Well, see,
Like,
here's the thing. I have a friend who is very near and dear to me who I met so we were in ninth grade. I was the new kid. And I had already been like reading, I want to say it was book 4. And I was obsessed, right? And she was like, "Oh, I
mhm.
started reading the series. It's so boring." And of course, she's talking about chapter 1.
Chapter 1 does suck.
And,
But like I enjoy chapter 1 now.
but not like the first time you read it. Probably.
I'm assuming I didn't just because the first chapter of Sorcerer's Stone is just talking about how boring the Dursleys are.
So it's a boring chapter because it's talking about boring people. Yes.
And it's like, why are there 7 books?
So yeah, like it's a mundane chapter about mundane things. So I remember her telling me like how much it sucked and how boring it was and how she was like probably not going to even open the rest of the book or whatever. And I was like, Paola, no. You got to push through those like first 40 pages. Trust me. And after that, she's even more obsessed than I am right now. And I have a whole podcast. We have a whole podcast about it. She lives and breathes it. Is now her. It's her life. And I hope that she gets to marry a redhead dude because that's her dream, to marry a
Ew.
Weasley.
I don't like any of the Weasleys.
Well, you and Helene have that in common.
Well, she likes Ginny. I'm very indifferent about Ginny.
Okay.
But what fostered our friendship? So I don't know if the listeners know this, but Helene and I became friends because we sat next to each other in math class in high school. That is what introduced us to each other. And then I don't really know. Then somehow Harry Potter got involved, and we are here 10 years later.
Harry Potter is the linchpin that holds the best friendships, in my humble opinion. Now, have I gotten my husband to read the books yet? No. And honestly, that's an issue in our marriage we're working through.
Has he tried listening to the audiobooks?
No, here's the thing. It's not that he doesn't like to read. Huge fucking nerd. History major. MFA in creative writing. So it's not the reading that's the issue. It's that he's just like too cool for Harry Potter or something.
Well, it's like my roommate. She hasn't seen a Star Wars movie. So that's her fun fact. So she doesn't want to see a Star Wars movie.
Because then she can't say that about herself anymore.
Yeah, so she has zero interest in watching anything in the Star Wars universe because that's her fun fact. And my fun fact is I'm a Sagittarius.
Which honestly is far more interesting than her fun fact, in my opinion. But that's just...
Well, I was like, I have other fun facts, but they really don't stand well on an audio medium. So I don't have... I'm missing a knuckle on both of my hands, but I only showed Adri my left hand, which is my ring finger. So if I, like, kind of where your knuckles are, rather than going bump, 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 mine goes like bump, bump, swoop, bump.
Kind of looks like a camel with like a hump missing.
I can see that. And then on my right hand, it's my pinky.
Huh, not even consistently.
Yeah, so I'm not symmetrical and I can never be a hand model.
Our dashed hopes and dreams. Well, we got past our disappointments. You don't have your hand modeling career. I didn't marry a billionaire.
There's still hope.
Well, I used to tell my dad, I know that you're not my real dad. I know Bill Gates is going to claim me one day. I'm just waiting for it. And he and I would have a really good laugh at that. And every time I needed something, he'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to buy that. And I'll be like, okay, fine. I'll call Daddy Bill Gates. See if he can afford it.
Well, Bill Gates thinks like bananas are $32.
He's very Lucille Bluth that way. And I love him for it.
Yeah, but we can find out if you love me more by knowing my co-star.
Ooh, yes.
Stuff.
All right.
So
Moon and rising.
So I'm a Sagittarius sun, a Libra moon, and a Leo rising.
I can see the Leo for sure in the rising. I'm a Virgo rising, which is like the mask that you present to the world.
Yeah.
So like Virgo is like practical, like people think I'm practical and shit, unless they listen to this podcast in which I am my true Gemini self.
But just kind of reading the little blurbs of what they mean, like, yeah, I can see both of those for me.
Well, okay, so we've got your moon and your rising, but more important than that, what is your Hogwarts house?
I'm a Hufflepuff, but
okay. Most of my favorite people are.
But the argument isn't my first house. The argument is what is my second house.
Okay, tell us all about your secondary house.
So I believe my secondary house is Slytherin because I'm very ambitious.
Okay.
But there are some other people that have been on this podcast. I'm not going to say names. But we were in math class together.
Does it start with an H and then with an Eileen?
I'm not going to say yes and I'm not going to say no. But she will go, they will go to their grave saying my secondary house is a Ravenclaw because I have a master's degree.
Yeah, but I mean, not everyone with like advanced education is a Ravenclaw.
I know.
Also, Ravenclaw is not just about the degrees, right? Like, it's about that love of learning and like inquisitorial nature.
To their defense, when I took that sorting hat quiz, that gives you the percentiles of the houses.
Is that the BuzzFeed one?
Maybe? I think I don't know, but like you take the like Pottermore quiz or whatever, and it says you're X% Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and Gryffindor. My Hufflepuff was like the highest by a landslide, and my Ravenclaw and Slytherin differed by 1%. And then Gryffindor, it was practically nothing.
Well, we can't all be basic. That means that you are special. I, in contrast, I'm a basic bitch. So obviously Gryffindor. Much to my chagrin. My secondary is Hufflepuff, though.
Okay.
I don't know. I want it to be like mysterious or, clever.
No.
But I don't know.
So Helene and I went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter our senior year of high school in 2011. And I saved up a lot of money to buy merchandise because that's what one does.
Did you get the robe?
I bought the robes, and one of the like team members at Universal said, "Why are you getting Hufflepuff?"
Sir, sir, how dare you? This is the Wizarding World.
And I was just like, because it's my fucking house. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, I was like, I'm not gonna get like Gryffindor because Harry's a fucking Gryffindor.
Again, you're not basic. How dare that team member? Also, fun fact,
It's like,
I used to work at Universal Islands of Adventure, like for like 3 months.
you used to live in Orlando?
So I have family in Orlando, and
Well, there are a lot of Puerto Ricans in Orlando.
Oh yeah, like little
I
Puerto
dated
Rican,
a Puerto
Orlando.
Rican.
Orlando.
I dated a Puerto Rican in Orlando.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That is like the most. So Orlando is like...
And they also worked at Universal. Full circle.
Yes.
Wow. It's like I dated you.
Well, you know. I'm so sorry for you then, because not the best person to date. Very annoying. All right. Speaking of people, favorite character?
Remus Lupin.
Yes, lovely human being.
How can you not like him?
He offers you chocolate. He's a great mentor. And he has a dark past. Honestly, dreamboat material. I love people with... I love men with secrets that I think I can fix. You know?
I think he was my favorite character because when I read book 3 for the first time, his class just seemed fun.
Oh, same. Actually, book 3 is low-key my favorite book because...
Book 3 is my second favorite, but it's only because Half-Blood is my favorite because I love a good villain backstory. Ooh. And it also just... Half-Blood has my favorite chapter in it. I love The Other Minister. It's my favorite chapter for I don't know why.
Ooh, so we should have you back for that one is what I'm hearing.
I told Helene I want to be on that episode because that's my favorite chapter.
Okay, so, you know, it's happening. It's happening. Yeah, I mean, I think book 3 gives us a lot of hope, and I like that in a book.
And then there's a plot twist. The murderer's not the murderer.
Oh, no. Whoa. JK, how dare you again with the plot twists?
I don't know. 10-year-old Rex was shook.
Oh, no. Like, for reals, like, 13 to 14-year-old Adri was like, what?
Sirius didn't kill everyone?
Yeah, just like, that was the beginning of like, oh, books can be this? I must read everything.
And that's when I dived into the fandom.
And then you grow up and realize that your faves can be very problematic and then have a lot of feelings about that.
We were young and naive.
Never meet your heroes. Never tweet at your heroes. Never follow them on social. Forget they ever existed. All right. Speaking of things that don't bring us joy, nemesis in the series. Who would be your nemesis if you were a character?
I think, well, it depends.
It could be a frenemy.
Well, how I'm seeing this is it depends. Like, we would have to go to school together. So, like, we would have to be in the same year.
Okay.
For this. And it would be Percy.
Yeah. He's insufferable as a character.
Like, I was
at
just
school.
like, I am a speech language pathologist for the listeners, which is a very female-dominated career. And I just wanted to be the best boy.
Okay.
Because there would only be a few. And I was just like, oh, I want to be the best one.
So it would be like you seeing him as competition?
Oh, seeing him as competition because I would want to be head boy.
Okay.
I would want to be the very best that no one ever was.
I can see the ambition you're talking about as you keep talking. I feel like the Slytherin secondary for me is winning.
And then my friend would say, well, if Rex wants to be head boy, he's smart.
But the smart has nothing to do with the house of Ravenclaw.
I know.
Helene and I need to have a very in-depth conversation about this.
I am not confirming or
Nor
denying that it's Helene.
Yes, of course. Sorry, I'm not very discreet.
Just want people to say that I am not throwing anyone under the bus.
So if you could change one thing in the canon, what would it be and why? If you could just take pen to paper.
Ron dies. Ron dies. He gets splinched and he dead. He dead. Bye, bitch. He gone.
I can't. Oh my god, that was such a big laugh you got out of me. Because oh my gosh, my poor baby Ron. Okay, fine.
I think what solidified mine and Helene's relationship was we both hate Ron.
No, I can see that. I can definitely see that, yes.
Everything was very, minor, oh, acquaintanceship. Oh, we both hate the same character because hatred brings people together.
Also, cemented in pettiness also is, a big part of, all my friendships. It's oh, we actually got annoyed by the same thing? Yes, please.
So it brings you closer because you can complain to each other and they will understand.
Yeah, I mean, I personally am not a Ron hater. I am, if anything, more of a Ron apologist, even though I know he's trash.
I also just wanted Hermione and Harry to get together since, book 2.
Okay, well,
So, I was part of the hatred is knowing that just never happened. And that might also be why I don't like Ginny. Because they're ruining my ship. So the only logical reason is to just get rid of them.
So did you read a lot of fanfic of that ship? Or just headcanon it?
I did read a lot of fan fiction of that.
Okay.
But now I've gotten into Drarry fanfic.
Well, that is quite the hot
and
fanfic.
Drarry fanfic is so much better than
because
Harmony.
Well, because Drarry has that instant hatred situation going on that builds tension.
It seems like the sex would be good.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of tension, and it's enemies to lovers type dynamic that is usually much more inspiring in romance than.
But is there a fanfic of Drapple turning into Drarry? Because that is what I need. Because ever since knowing Drapple's a thing, I've just been fascinated with that.
I'm sorry,
area.
You're gonna have to tell me about this Drapple.
So it's Draco and Apple, because in the films, I think it's in Prisoner of Azkaban, the film, he always has an apple. There's fanfic about it. Because there's fanfic for everything.
There's fanfic for everything, and
Drapple is probably one of my favorite ships because it's something I never would have thought of. That or McGonagall and the Giant Squid.
McGonagall and the Giant Squid gives me a lot of anime, hentai vibes, I guess.
Oh, it's 100% hentai. That's the only thing it can be.
Yeah. Drapple is interesting. I am delighted.
I've never read Drapple fanfic, but it's something I'm just very fascinated about. The Instagram team on MuggleNet, we've had several conversations about just Drapple because
I don't know how to I am equal parts fascinated and horrified.
If someone sends me a fanfic my way, I will read it, but I will not go out of my way to find it.
Yeah. Well, this has been very enlightening, Rex. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we are not just talking about Drapple today, you guys. We are covering chapter 32 of Order of the Phoenix in this episode, and it's titled Out of the Fire. But before we get into that, just a quick note, you can support our podcast at patreon.com/Occiopolitics. And we are going to be doing a Patreon exclusive segment where we are doing part 2 of our wizarding schools across the globe. And Rex, let me tell you, part 1 was hella problematic in terms of like, what? This is what the wizarding world said
Yeah.
about the schools? And cultural appropriation? And damn.
We might get into that again.
Again, yes, because we have like 5 more left. So, fun times. And chapter 32, the summary, and I'm going to do it instead of Helene because she's not with us today. This is the one where Harry is terrified that Sirius is being tortured by Lord Voldemort in the Department of Mysteries. Hermione is skeptical, but Ginny, Luna, and Ron devise a distraction so Harry can break into Umbridge's office, use her fireplace to check in on Sirius, but they are caught by Umbridge and her inquisitorial squad. Dun dun dun. I mean, lots more happens in this chapter.
The chapter was actually really short.
Yeah, but I think it was short in terms of like the things that actually happened on the page, because she has to build, like, the author had to build, the suspense of, wait, Sirius is being tortured?
Well, just looking on Audible, the chapter's 23 minutes long. And
yes,
the ones surrounding it are between 30 and 40 minutes.
Yeah, so most of the chapters from what I've seen in Audible, you're either like at a 45-minute chapter, 40-minute chapter, or it's like
20 minutes.
Like, there is no in between, really, for the most part.
I'm just scrolling, and that is factual. It's 20 minutes or 40 minutes.
There's no in between. Let's talk really quick about the news today, because we've got some good news. Well, justice.
Some exciting news.
Justice has been served, as they say. Derek Chauvin was found guilty of all charges. That includes second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. And I was worried about being hopeful that this would, be the outcome.
Well, I really didn't follow the case. I wasn't, really following sources on social media. I wasn't watching the news on TV, because who does that? And I think it was just being disappointed with so many things that with this case, the trial started, and I was like, oh, okay, he's just going to be let off, like, woohoo.
Well, because we've seen it happen so many times.
Many times. So that's what I thought. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to put time and effort into following this case just to be upset. So then yesterday at 4 p.m. Central, my 4 p.m. client texted me that they were going to be late because they wanted to watch the verdict. So I was just like, woo, I get to watch the verdict live too. So I've just pulled up CNN, watched it live, we read it, and then the mom texted me, okay, we'll be on in 5 minutes. I just really wanted to watch that. And I was just like, that's fine. I wanted to watch it too, but I don't want to tell you that.
Yeah, it's always a little tricky, right?
Well, I don't want to tell parents. I was one, I feel just by how I act and all that stuff, parents definitely can make great assumptions about my lifestyle. And it's something that I just don't advertise to them. I'm not oh, hi, my name's Rex Hadden, I'm going to work with your child, and I'm a flaming homo.
I can't with you. Yeah, I mean, people make assumptions anyway. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So the thing that really annoyed me though yesterday was I don't know if you saw Nancy Pelosi's whole thing on this, and she
I
was
did not, because Tuesdays are my long work days.
okay.
So, like,
So long story short, she in a statement she was like, "Thank you for to George Floyd for like sacrificing himself." Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait. That is not like the message we want to send anyone who dies at the hand of police. Like, it's not like he willingly did this as a Christ-like figure. This is no. Let's not
yeah,
retcon this into like a way for like white liberals to feel good about themselves.
that's the thing that a lot of white people need to realize is they will never understand what it's like to be a person of color in this country because they have white privilege.
Well, the thing is that being she put herself at the center of a story that wasn't about her.
Oh, and she wants to seem hip and cool because I think she knows that a lot of young people aren't her biggest fan.
Yeah, and like I mean, I don't have anything against her personally. I just have like that like it irks me, right? Like you're just like
Mm-hmm.
this story is not about you. You didn't have to say anything except that, being glad that justice, prevailed
Was served.
and leave it at that and not make it into like this whole thing of like look at me how like caring I am. Like that performative aspect of
Mm-hmm.
like white saviorism, and then it's just too much, right? Like the story isn't about you. Stop using your white privilege and white supremacy to center your own feelings about a story that is not about you. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So I get to be disappointed in left-leaning people, even though she's, more moderate, I guess. And then, also outraged that the Republicans were like, why would people want to protest if it doesn't if he's not convicted? And I'm like, really, guys? Is this from the people who were like, let's cancel, like they want to use cancel culture on so many things, and then they're like, but not on us, like these are people who are trying to strip away like trans people's rights and dehumanize them and
And that's one thing I'll just never understand.
so
I
like they
do
want to
not get
literally
it.
cancel groups of people, but then they're like,
Be-
cancel culture,
when
let's go
they
too far.
Yeah, and as long if you are not cis straight white, you can be dehumanized.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you want to dehumanize cis white straight culture,
Well, but is it dehumanizing if we're calling them out though?
it's because we're canceling them, and that's why
Because they've never
they're like,
been.
oh, this they've never been canceled before because they've always thought white is right.
Well, I mean, it rhymes, so it must be true, kind of. But the whole thing surrounding like their mock outrage of cancel culture is not that cancel culture is like toxic. It's that cancel culture, like let's say 90% of the time is done correctly or like with good faith of like, hey, I'm calling you out for your actions, right? And because they have never been held accountable for their actions in their lives, being cis, male, and white, then they're like, how dare you? No one has ever dared to question me.
Yeah.
But literally, they're canceling people's rights.
Well, because it just goes against the Bible, which isn't the Constitution, which still makes no sense. Like, I just do not understand. I don't think I'll ever
So
understand.
the same people who like do like, oh, it's written in the Constitution. And I'm like, okay, pro tip, things can change, right? We're not in the same space we were, like
We're not in this, like, it's not 1776.
exactly. And two, there are other things that you pretend are not there, like, impeachment. and why it was drawn that specific way to avoid, the previous presidency. And all of a sudden, so it's like a pick and choose story, kind of like what
Do with the
evangelicals
Bible.
do with the Bible. So it's like, pro tip, guys, both are written documents written by human beings. Let's pretend like one of them was dictated by God or whatever. And then I'm like, well, are you sure you transcribed it correctly? I don't know. What if, the editorial process kicked some stuff out? We don't know. Also, like, who fucking cares? Just be kind. I don't understand people. Just read a new book. Let's go back to our scheduled programming of politics. When you read this chapter, Rex, what was the politic that sprung to your mind?
So the politic that sprung to my mind was sabotage. The politic of sabotage,
Okay.
just because I saw it as everyone's trying to like damn it. So like Harry and friends are trying to sabotage Umbridge, and Umbridge is trying to sabotage Hogwarts.
Well, and Voldemort is trying to sabotage Harry, and Harry's trying to sabotage Voldemort.
I kind of forgot that Voldemort was like really in this chapter.
He's just
and then I saw your notes, and I'm just like, well, he like actually like is in this chapter, like kind of. Just it didn't like stick to me.
What ends up happening in Order and also in subsequent books is that any chapter that has Umbridge, who we hate so much.
We hate her, but that is why she's one of my favorite characters.
Oh, top villain for sure.
Oh, she's an excellent character.
Yes.
Terrible person, excellent character, and that's why she's one of my favorites.
Well, Rex,
I don't like.
You know what? She'd make an excellent Housewife cast member.
She would.
And Rita Skeeter, by the way.
Oh, imagine if they were on the same franchise.
Forget about wizarding schools. That's going to be our Patreon content.
Real Housewives of the Wizarding World.
Yes. Bravo. Watch out. We are casting this.
We need a graphic or something made.
No worries. I got Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. We got it.
But I have this image in my mind.
Okay.
Of like Umbridge. Trelawney will be in there too.
Okay.
Because the beef Umbridge and Trelawney will make for good television.
Oh, McGonagall? That
shade.
That shade. Oh.
This is gold.
But you're right. Like, so anytime Umbridge is in a chapter with Voldemort, or like where Voldemort is mentioned, we kind of forget because she's such a presence.
Most fans see Umbridge as a like more villainous than Voldemort. Because you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, his villainy is very simplistic, right?
Like, and where Umbridge is very more complex and...
Well, also we also, I will say, the patriarchy, obviously, we are harder on women than we are on men.
Oh, yeah.
But also, like, she gets more direct contact with Harry than Voldemort ever did. And really just makes him feel like shit. And our boy is in a fragile state. And she can't be doing things like that to him. She also like creates her own like Hogwarts police force based in Draco and company.
And just kind of going off of the Inquisitorial Squad, it just isn't fair that everyone on it is in Slytherin. And is it Slytherin because Slytherin's the evil house in the books?
No,
or is it Slytherin because Umbridge was in Slytherin?
I feel like Slytherin, and we kind of had this conversation of like magical creatures or like what they call half-breeds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's very racialized, right? So like Slytherin I see as a house that a lot of, white people are in.
Oh, like very
Like,
like
just because you're white doesn't make you evil, right? Just because you have white privilege. But white privilege affords you certain power that can be weaponized if you choose.
yes,
Just like
you're right.
Slytherins.
That's interesting. Never thought of it like that before.
So in the kind of like in the way of the way I think about Slytherin, obviously I don't think it's a bad house at all because we've got bad apples everywhere. I mean, like we've got Peter Pettigrew in Gryffindor. Come on. Um, but that it's kind of like the very obvious baddies might be in Slytherin because they have like that wizard supremacy privilege, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
the more visible bad guys. The other ones might be a little bit
Okay.
more insidious, you know, like a Lockhart, for instance, who was in Ravenclaw.
I always forget that he's in Ravenclaw.
So he never like no one really maybe they thought like he was like exaggerating or like he was kind of a
Oh, like why he was so boisterous?
yeah, like a peacock, right? And it turns out like he was thieving from people, like their memories and their deeds.
Which, like, is, like, he, like Harry, rather than being a jack of all trades, found one spell to be good at.
Yes. So Harry chose Expelliarmus, and he chose
Obliviate. And
yeah.
because if you listen to Alohomora, you know where I stand on Harry only having like 3 spell slots in his D&D campaign, and that's just like you have like Accio, Expecto Patronum, and Expelliarmus, and that's all you need to save the world.
Um, duh, because it's not about the spell; it's about the heart and the love. You know.
And Lockhart's the exact same way.
I'm being sarcastic. Yeah. So Lockhart, like what he does is completely reprehensible, but maybe we don't see it like as much like we do with Umbridge because Umbridge has been showing us who she is since fucking day one.
Yeah, she never painted a facade. She's just like, here I am. I'm in evil pink.
Yes.
So, going off of our real housewives of the wizarding world, though canonically she is not in it,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
would Elle Woods be on the franchise? So we
Well,
would
I
have
mean,
good pink and bad pink.
I want to see that good pink versus bad pink showdown. First of all, obviously, I'm Team L because
Who
I
wouldn't be?
who wouldn't be. Also, I feel like I, like L, have been belittled by my more fashion forward self in grad school. That was a big thing. Because I was always better dressed and always wore like wedges and stuff, and people looked down on me and thought I was dumb for caring about what it looked like. So I feel very
Because you wore
connected.
wedges?
Yes. Oh my gosh. We have to talk about this later, but yes. Because I wore wedges and like wasn't, you know.
But it's a wedge. It's not even like a heel.
I don't know. Everyone was wearing like ratty
Wait,
sneakers.
where did you go to grad school?
So I went to New Mexico State University. So of
Oh,
course,
okay.
like it
Okay, that
was.
makes more sense.
But like I'm not gonna change my fashion choices just because like of where I live. Like my what I like is what I like, and I'm not going to judge people based on what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess people didn't get that memo. And yeah, so I've been judged a lot. People think I'm dumb because sometimes I will say my speaking voice does not confidently show how smart I am, but also I like fun shoes. So that's where I'm at in life.
Do what makes you happy. If shoes make you happy, do what brings you joy.
I've just decided I stopped caring, but I will say Elwood's definitely in the franchise, maybe as a friend of to come and stir shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, she'll like come on the vacay.
Yeah. She'll be like besties with McGee, you know?
Okay.
Because McGonagall reminds me a lot of like that mentor Elle had in law school.
Oh, yeah, the Delta Nu.
Yes.
Or
She's
are you talking about her future boyfriend husband?
no, like her, like the Delta Nu, like
Okay.
the professor who was like super strict and badass
Yeah.
and was like, "You're not gonna give up. Come on." That's I feel like that has like a McGonagall energy of like stern. People,
Yes.
she thought like she hated her. And it turns out like no, she's stern because she cares about her
Hmm.
students. And that's a big McG energy if I ever saw one.
Yes.
So, speaking of Real Housewives, my politic when I read this book is all about surveillance. And that politic is all about how we exist in this world that is heavily surveilled and we've just kind of become accustomed to it. We have smartphones that can be accessed. Their cameras can be accessed by various apps or attacks. We have smart TVs that often have cameras. We have ring doorbell systems.
Wait, smart TVs have cameras?
Some of them do, yes.
No.
And they can be accessed remotely. Our laptops have cameras, so like all these, surveillance methods. And we have in the wizarding world that the magic that they do replaces the need for technology, which is like the whole like Arthur Weasley joke, right? But we have like other ways in the wizarding world that people are surveilled because we have the trace. We have in book 7, we've got like the
The
jinx,
taboo?
the taboo on the name. We've the Ministry of Magic can monitor the flu network. Like there are other
There's the Marauders map in Hogwarts.
exactly. So like we have magical objects that act in the same way as surveillance systems. Like how did they know that Harry moved from the cupboard to the smallest bedroom? That kind of stuff. Like is it an automated system? Is there like someone tracing
Well,
Harry with like
the trace is just fascinating because they're muggle borns.
I know. So like what
Because
did they do?
if there weren't muggle borns, the trace would make more sense. It's like, oh, like Mama Wizard goes to St. Mungo's to give birth to Baby Wizard, and then the healers at St. Mungo's do their boo, and
Yeah, they give them the vaccines that have the chips, just like our
yeah,
our COVID
just like
vaccines.
our COVID vaccines. Yeah.
Just
Still waiting on my superpowers, though.
like the moment I got my COVID vaccine, I was like, Apple who? Who's great? Daddy Bill Gates. I'm going to go get a Microsoft Surface computer. That's what I want.
Return all of our Apple products.
Yes, Microsoft is the cutting edge in technology.
Mac who?
I Apple? No, I'm not interested in an apple. That's for Draco. Anyway,
That was really good.
so the political use of surveillance makes visible what was unknown, and it blurs the boundaries between the public and the private, which like brings the trace to mind to me, right? Like as you said,
Well,
so
it's
some of
just
them
pretty
are
much
Muggle
like
borns. So how? How do they know?
to get your letter from Hogwarts, you have like the quill in the book of acceptance or something like that, and they both need to agree that this child's has enough magical ability to like be a witch or a wizard, and the quill is more jumpy than the book. I think this is on Pottermore somewhere.
Yeah, but
And
what is
that
the
whole
cutoff? Like, is it
well, it took Neville a while to actually have his name be put down because like he just sucks at magic.
well, stop degrading my boyfriend, Neville. He had a glow up, okay?
Well, he did have a glow up, but like he struggled the first like 13, 14 years of his life.
Well, as a speech pathologist, right? He was
True.
he was like developmentally delayed in his magic.
Well, I was just like, he just wasn't given the right accommodations.
Correct. Correct. He was just thrown there without
Well,
accommodations.
he was pretty much thrown into the pool to figure out how to swim, but he never learned how to swim, so he's in survival mode, not really thinking logically. He's just like, okay, I don't want to die.
Well, also the lifeguard is Severus Snape. So
I'm just picturing Snape in a bathing suit.
and we all know he doesn't get that hair wet. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, I was just like, the grease would like just what's it called? Because like oil and water don't
Don't mix. Yeah, it'll repel the water.
So like the water, like his hair doesn't get wet.
It's a protective hairstyle what Snape has going on. Another thing I have against the author with her like whole mention of always his greasy strands. Because I'm like,
oh, it's the lack of shampoo?
Yeah, so it's like, listen, lady, some of us have naturally greasy hair. And it doesn't make us more evil. It just makes us buy more dry shampoo than the average person. So I thought like surveillance was interesting in this chapter because it talks about like surveillance also brings to mind the concept of finding new ways to include and exclude people based on what you learn through surveillance. And you can also kind of twist stories your way when you surveil people because you're getting like tidbits of information that may point one way and you can retrofit that to your own conclusions rather than really see what is going on. And one instance of that is like when Harry talks to Creature and Creature's like, Sirius isn't here. And we know, we've read the book. We know what Creature's game is. But Harry just gets a glimpse of two different pieces of a puzzle. And Hermione is like, dude, we don't know the whole story. Let's take it easy. But they're using that like method of surveillance against Harry. Like they're feeding him wrong information.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about like the politics of sabotage, let's go into a deep dive. Talk to me about like the quote or moment that you thought like that was the more like the where it's shown like it's shown.
Mine was, the quote was, fine, said Hermione, now sobbing into her hands again. Fine, let them see it. I hope they use it on you. In fact, I wish you'd invite loads and loads of people to come and see.
Hermione is so wily in this. I love it.
Well, and it was kind of that point when Umbridge has been trying to sabotage Harry this entire chapter. And then...
You mean this book, right?
Well, yeah. But then Hermione's just like, okay, I see your game. I'm going to start playing it too. I have this idea that if we're reading for the first time, we don't know what's going to happen. But she's just like, okay, yes, we were talking to Dumbledore. We were talking about his weapon being ready. Do you want to see the weapon?
Oh, Hermione. Like,
so Umbridge is just like, yes, I have Dumbledore like ready to be sent to Azkaban to get kissed by the Dementors.
What did Dumbledore do to Umbridge during her Hogwarts years is what I want to know.
Oh, that's good. I've never thought of that before. Oh,
Jude Law.
Do you think she was bad?
Like Jude Law Dumbledore is like what I'm picturing.
So was Dumbledore Defense Against the Dark Arts or Transfiguration when Umbridge was a student? Because we canonically just are very unsure from the Fantastic Beasts films.
Yeah, I am not
I feel
sure.
like she was very bad. Well, I feel like she was very bad at whatever the subject was, if she just does not like Dumbledore.
Or, counterpoint, it's like a Snape situation where she was in love with Dumbledore, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gay." Like, nah.
Nah, I want to suck a dick.
Nah, I'm like I have like a really complicated relationship with Grindelwald. Like my evil is full at the moment. No thanks.
I'm just in love with the darkest wizard of all time right now.
It's hard to resist a bad boy.
But Loki, Grindelwald has really pretty eyes. Like, there's something about those two mismatched eyes that I swoon over.
Well, yeah, but there's the whole fact that he's fucking evil, but he's charismatic, I guess.
Just because you're evil doesn't mean you can't be hot.
Oh,
look at Ted Bundy.
I know. Like, yes, correct. My quote is Umbridge, and it starts here. I'm gonna do like the You think, she whispered, bending Harry's neck back even farther so that he was looking up at the ceiling above him, that after 2 Nifflers, I was going to let one more foul, scavenging little creature enter my office without my knowledge? I had stealth sensories and spells placed all around my doorway after the last one got in. You foolish boy. And, if that ain't surveillance, I don't know what is. She's like, I cannot afford more Nifflers, even though they're super cute, in my office. So I am going to booby trap this with spells to let me know when someone is in my office when I'm not there. And she also spends the entire fucking book surveilling Harry. Like, she is eagle-eyed.
She wants to know where he is
at all times.
Umbridge is like Colin Creevey in book 2.
I know. He should, you know what? Harry should have just given her a headshot,
What, they should have teamed up, like Harry and Colin, just to like give her some pictures.
Right? Like, that's
what
the only
was
way.
Colin doing? Because honestly, I forgot that he existed until right now.
We forget until book 7, and it's not a nice
and then he dies.
reminder. Yeah. It's very
Well,
sad.
when does his younger brother come to Hogwarts? When does
It
Dennis
was book
come?
3. It was book 3.
Oh, so it's been a while since we heard about the Creevy boys.
Yeah. I guess there's maybe a mention of them in Goblet of Fire. When Harry is the champion, maybe?
Probably, but like...
But, yeah, but it's just so... Colin Creevey was such a main force in Chamber. And then it went like...
And then he disappeared.
Yes!
He disappeared and then he dies! Like,
and then,
there should be some sort of arc.
Like, sacrificial lamb. Like, oh, remember that guy from book 2? He did.
I would be perfectly fine not knowing if he died. I just want to know if Lavender Brown's dead.
Inquiring minds want to know, yes. So, Umbridge is also surveilling, through the entire book, Dumbledore, because that's exactly why she's at Hogwarts, from the Ministry of Magic. She's acting like the Ministry of Magic's camera at Hogwarts.
Well, it's because the Ministry thinks Dumbledore wants to overthrow them, which makes zero sense to me.
Well,
before this book, like, the Ministry really like Dumbledore?
No, I think that what ends up happening is that Fudge starts feeling like, shit, everything's going out of control for me in terms of, like, Wizarding World politics. Like, shit is starting to happen.
Shit hit the fan, and he doesn't know what to do.
And he's like, who's my biggest threat as far as a replacement? Because if they can't replace me, then I can't lose my job.
And he goes to Dumbledore because wasn't the thing before Fudge got elected
that everyone was like clamoring for
everyone
Dumbledore.
Wanted Dumbledore.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
So he's like, this bitch ain't getting my job. I am not going to let it happen. So he went on the, like, offense instead of trying to cooperate with Dumbledore.
He went to look for those secret love letters to Grindelwald.
Oh, for sure. Like, if he had those in his possession, he would have, like, given them to Rita and be like,
they would have been front page of the Daily Prophet,
the
Evening Prophet, the Afternoon Prophet. the tea time prophet.
Owls would be sent with transcripts of those letters to every wizarding household.
On the hour, every hour.
Yes. So
I don't know if there are enough owls, but
the
it
ministry
would
will
work out.
spare no expense. So yeah, so that's how I felt like that he was just like, I'd rather attack him before he takes my job away from me. And like that kind of like thinking kind of goes back to your politic of sabotage. He was like,
Yeah, it
I'll
goes to seven.
sabotage
Yeah.
him before he can sabotage me, because he makes the mistake that a lot of us make of thinking that everyone else is just like us. Like they think that the same way. So because Fudge is malicious, he's like, obviously Dumbledore is malicious.
Malicious, because that's how I am.
Yeah. But speaking of characters, in this chapter, who was the character that you thought portrayed Sabotage?
I think Hermione did it because Hermione's definitely the most logical of the Golden Trio, and she knew that Umbridge is trying to sabotage Dumbledore and everyone at Hogwarts. So she's kind of like, I'm just going to give her the taste of her own medicine.
I mean, honestly, I don't think if that hadn't happened, right? If she hadn't come up with that plan, like, what was the alternative?
He would have been dead. Umbridge would have killed that Horcrux.
Yeah, that flesh and blood Horcrux. So for me,
Wait, was the flesh and blood what created the Horcrux? Because I thought the Horcrux was made when he killed Lily.
well, but like Harry is the Horcrux, so
Oh, okay.
could
But
she have killed
but
him?
I don't think she could have killed the Horcrux. But so
then
if she
it would have
killed Harry,
attached to her.
so yeah, so she would have killed Harry. But what would Harry? If Harry was a Horcrux, would he be immortal?
But Nagini wasn't immortal. Well, but she was killed by a sword of Gryffindor, so who knows?
Yeah, because Umbridge would have just.
Is this why he only needed Expelliarmus? Because he's fucking immortal?
But Voldemort killed Harry and the Horcrux with Avada Kedavra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, can Avada Kedavra kill a Horcrux?
But he did it with the Elder Wand.
But the Elder Wand was not his. So,
correct. See, so many plot holes.
I think we're on to something.
But honestly, I feel like that's why he only needed Expelliarmus. He's basically immortal.
No, honestly, why be a jack of all trades? Just be good at one skill and, make that your, brand.
Well, speaking of Voldemort is my character, even though he doesn't really appear in this chapter, because all the things that happened in this chapter was because Voldemort realized that Harry had a surveillance window into his doings, comings and goings, and he exploited that to push his own narrative to lead Harry into a trap. Because without that vision, this chapter wouldn't have happened.
Oh, yeah, because the main plot of the chapter is Harry and Hermione going to Umbridge's office to use the Flu Network to see if Sirius is home.
Yeah, so to check in on Sirius, to corroborate that.
To check in on Sirius. That is what I was trying to say.
Well, to corroborate the validity of the vision, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the book, then, as we talked about before, the Ministry is super involved in surveilling the wizarding population.
Yeah, and I think with just the Ministry trying to be more and more involved in Hogwarts, especially in just the day-to-day life, they kind of bring in Umbridge just because Dumbledore couldn't find anyone, so they were able to surveil as well as sabotage anything that Umbridge sees, because once Umbridge becomes High Inquisitor, she becomes a dictator.
Oh, for sure. She's one of those people where you're like that person should never have power. And there's nothing wrong with ambition. I'm a highly ambitious person, but it's not that Dolores's ambition makes her bad. It's how she lords power over other people
I
that
feel
makes her
like she
bad.
wasn't a prefect, and that's what flipped the switch. She wanted to be prefect her 5th year.
I think she wants to control everyone, and like she has ideas of how things should be run and doesn't want to listen to anyone and wants to just for people to do things her way, period. She has a lot of trauma surrounding Hogwarts is what I'm reading into this.
Well, her Pottermore article. I thought I love her Pottermore article. Just because I just really like villain backstories, I guess. But because she's a half blood,
Mm-hmm.
she has a squib brother,
Mm-hmm.
and her brother, and I think her father's the Muggle.
Wait, I thought that her father was a low paid employee at the ministry.
Yeah, the mother was the Muggle, and she just didn't understand why he didn't like want to climb the ladder of success.
Yeah, yeah. She's like again, ambition, not a bad trait. It's just how she used
It's how you use your ambition can be used. Well, it's like how you can use any of your traits for good or bad. Like
what
it's not
yeah,
just ambition.
yeah, you're completely right. All right, so let's move on to our segment called Dementors and Chocolate, where we talk about the Ted Cruz and the AOCs in this chapter. Because as you know, I think Ted Cruz is a Dementor and AOC is definitely a chocolate. What was your Dementor in the chapter?
My Dementor was Hermione doubting Harry about his visions, dreams, whatever you want to call them, and just thinking that they're just dreams and mean absolutely nothing.
I mean, she was right that one time.
And I think just coming from a divination aspect,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hermione does not like that class.
I was gonna say, like, Hermione would not be downloading CoStar at all.
Oh no, she does not care about her sun, her moon, her rising. No. She's just like, this is my birthday.
And also, it's just a date. I don't care.
It means nothing.
Give me all the books. Shut up, everyone.
And she's just like, oh, it's just a dream. There's like no meaning behind it.
Yeah, sometimes she's very short sighted, I will say. Really reminds me of me as a young person. And I'm like, I can see why I was insufferable then. I can now see why I'm insufferable now, but I didn't know that back then. My Dementor is a passage by Umbridge, and it says, "What Cornelius doesn't know won't hurt him. He never knew I ordered Dementors after Potter last summer, but he was delighted to be given the chance to expel him all the same." Bitch!
It's funny because I almost chose torture for my politic, and that would have been my quote.
Umbridge! Like, man, you are exploiting the lack of surveillance that Cornelius has over you to move your agenda along using illegal means. And yet you're the woman of the educational decrees, which are basically Hogwarts law. Pick a lane, lady. Just such a hypocritical bitch. Also,
Oh, that yeah.
ruined Pink for me for a long time. And I have reclaimed it in my 30s.
I wonder if it ruined pink for Helene because pink's her favorite color.
She says purple is her favorite color.
Purple's her favorite color since when? Her bat mitzvah theme was pink.
She says purple is her favorite color. So maybe
Since
this is a trauma.
I think this is the reason why purple's her favorite color.
While Helena's out, we are just like delving into her psyche. Uh, Hi, Helene. Hope you're listening.
No, but seriously, why is pink no longer your favorite color?
Speaking of pink, which I have reclaimed as a color of joy,
What is your chocolate then?
my AOC slash chocolate for this chapter is the one, the only sweet baby Neville and his chivalry, and getting in trouble because of it. He's just an absolute angel, and my heart is bursting. It always bursts with love for him. That's it. I mean, he's a plant daddy, like who doesn't love a plant daddy?
Plants are the new children.
I mean, plants, dogs, you name it. Anything other than children. All right, Rex. Who was your AOC slash chocolate for this chapter?
This is going to be interesting for me because I generally don't like this character. But my chocolate was Snape telling Umbridge that she used all of the Veritaserum.
And not only that, but that it will take a full
full moon cycle.
Yeah, cycle to make a new one.
New one.
So she's out of luck.
Like, Snape could have planned. Like, he's just like, oh, this bitch be like drinking, like going through the Veritaserum like it's happy hour.
Oh, I also loved it. He was like, wait, you used all of it? I told you 3 drops, lady. But honestly, that was the first chocolate that came to mind. And I was like, I refuse to make Snape my chocolate. And so I was like, Neville is my chocolate.
I took it as my chocolate because, yes, I don't like Snape, but just because I don't like him, like, doesn't make... He deserves the light when it's appropriate.
You know what? You're being fair to Snape, and I'm here for it. I just do as I say, but not as I do mentality.
Yes.
I appreciate that you are shining a light on a fantastic Snape moment that I also remarked upon in my brain, but refused in principle to make it about Snape.
I feel that.
Well, Rex, last week we asked our listeners if they could think of any like internal or external justification that Umbridge would give to say it was totally okay for me to bring Aurors to Hagrid's hut to fire him in the middle of the night. And I guess it was like a really difficult question, or maybe I didn't word it right. Who knows? We didn't get answers, but I thought I would ask you that question. Like,
people might have been busy.
People have lives, unlike myself. I get it.
But I would just say, because Umbridge is a little bitch.
I also think that the way that she talks about Hagrid is very
she thinks
racialized.
Well, it's very racialized in just kind of, especially going on with like the Chauvin trial that just wrapped up. He could have been black.
Yeah, no, I think like when we talk about like magical humanoid creatures in the wizarding world and like where they stand within the wizarding world.
Well, it's very racial because like in the wizarding world, like a giant is a different race than a human. Like it physically is.
Well, centaurs as well, right? House elves.
Well, like centaurs, mer people, house elves.
Mm-hmm. Those are very like racialized, like goblins. So like those denote different races within the wizarding world that don't have the same entry, privilege, or ease of movement in the wizarding world that magical humans do. And even like Muggleborns are a little bit of a different race within the allegory, I guess, because they're discriminated against and persecuted later on. So really, pure quote unquote purebloods are like the real white people of this book.
Well, yeah, like everyone else isn't like a cis straight white person.
Yeah, exactly. So like we have the Weasleys are a pure blood family who have the privilege of pure blood, but
But
don't
like,
use it the way
don't
the Malfoys
don't
do.
and they just kind of are the more, oh, how does this not like sound bad? I don't want to like speak down upon the Weasleys because like I do hate them. Um they are the more liberal pure blood family.
They're the more accepting pure blood family,
Yes.
but they're also poor, which also puts them in a different position than, say, the Malfoys in terms of
But
social class.
my thing is, did Molly's family also not have money?
I mean, I think it's either they don't have money because they had so many kids, or they're just like came from modest backgrounds, like maybe middle class.
Because I'm just, the whole money thing kind of confuses me because Hogwarts is free.
Well, but so are public schools, but that doesn't mean there's no poor people. Public schools in the United States, not in the UK. Public schools in
Yeah,
the UK are
in
expensive
the
as
United
hell.
States. I think we just don't know anything of the Pruitt family.
I'm sorry?
Of the Pruitt family, so like
Yeah,
Molly's family.
we don't know
Besides,
enough.
she had twin brothers.
Wizarding world money. Who knows how it works? It's
It
probably
makes no
very
sense.
it's probably very closely tied to legacy and like generational wealth. Like this is why Harry has like a big vault in Gringotts. So like the Potter fortune, I guess. Then we have the Weasleys who, Arthur doesn't have a very important or high paying job. Molly is a stay-at-home
A
mom,
stay-at-home mom.
and they have a lot of kids.
Kids are expensive.
Ugh. But anyhow, thank you for answering that question, and it took us 1,000 different directions. But I do agree that the way that Umbridge talks about Hagrid is very much the way like a Proud Boy would talk about George Floyd.
Oh, 100%. It's how like the alt-right media is talking about the Chauvin trial.
Sometimes I'm like, are we watching the same thing? Because the way that people twist facts to retcon their decisions, I'm just like, wait. All right, so Rex, for this week, we kind of talked offline for a bit about what question to ask. And we remembered that there is a point in this chapter that we didn't talk about.
How did we miss this?
I know, it's such a big moment. McGonagall is hospitalized because she got like 4 direct stunning spells and she could have fucking died.
She's at St. Mungo's.
Like, what? Like, oh, I'm sorry. She is in between the realm of life and death. Couldn't do anything here at Hogwarts. We sent her on to the actual hospital. But with that in mind, Rex, you came up with the best question because I am so interested in hearing people's thoughts on this. Is what would you, dear listeners, bring McGonagall at St. Mungo's while she was recovering from, honestly, use of excessive force by the police? Which is not at all in theme with everything that's going on in the news at all, ever.
Even in the Wizarding world.
Well, as we step out of the Wizarding world for a bit, Rex, as you know, we like to end our show with the media that we have been consuming. And you kind of gave us a sneak peek at, like, maybe it's Housewives this week?
Since there's that rumored Housewives All-Stars.
Okay, yeah. With Countess Luann.
I have been watching Real Housewives of Dallas.
Yes.
And I knew it wasn't going to be that good, but I love it.
Why do you love it, Rex? What does it have? What hold does it have on you?
I don't really know.
Is it Tiffany? Like, I like Tiffany.
Oh, I love Brandy.
Okay.
Like, I think she's very funny. I believe I'm in season 3
Oh,
of
okay.
Dallas now.
So the current season has Tiffany.
Oh, is Tiffany the like anesthesiologist?
Yes.
I've seen like an episode of that, and so I'm watching Dallas for the first time. But besides that, I'm also watching season 2 of The Circle on Netflix.
I didn't even watch season 1, and I feel like I definitely should.
So it is excellent reality television. If you love trash, you will love this. I
As
would
you know.
definitely watch season 1 before season 2 because the premise is the same, but they've definitely changed a lot of things. And so at the day of recording, some more episodes got released onto Netflix. I've been unable to watch them because of job, this recording, but I'm eager to watch them later this week because I want to know what's happening. They left us on a cliffhanger, and I'm like, what's happening? I don't know. This didn't happen in season 1.
They've got so you what you're saying is season 1 was good, but they've gotten better.
Yeah, they tweaked it like any like competition reality show does between seasons. They're like, okay, how can we make it different? So they're like, oh, okay, what we can do to make it different is this. So last week the first 4 episodes got out, and they ended the 4th episode with like something that I just don't want to talk about to just like spoil it for any of the
So
listeners.
yeah, spoiler free, please.
I was just like, ooh, what's this? What's gonna happen? Because like, ooh, it looked like, and then I was just like, ooh, we're gonna figure out today when like things are out now, but like today is now like later because this is gonna come out in the future, which is now the past.
Thank you. Time Turner is what you just did there.
Yeah.
So speaking of reality TV shows, did you ever watch Netflix's Love is Blind?
Speaking, oh, I did watch Love Is Blind. Yes, I was thinking of Too Hot to Handle.
Okay, so yes.
But I did also watch Too Hot to Handle because someone who was on Too Hot to Handle is on season 2 of The Circle.
Ah, I see. So we have recurring cast of characters, as it were.
Yes. But Love is Blind was so good. Oh, that girl.
Are you talking about?
The blonde girl who was always drinking wine,
Yeah,
who was like
yes,
40.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Don't know her, hate her, would
Hey,
still
oh,
watch her.
I hope that guy's doing
Oh,
well.
Mark. By the way, I remember his name, like that, like the short Hispanic dude, Mark. Mark.
He's from Chicago.
Mark apparently was cheating on her the entire time he was filming.
Wait, what?
It came out. I mean, it was quite an internet scandal, and as you know, that lasts 5 seconds in our short term brain. But that really stuck with me because I was like, wait, but he seemed so in love with her. Is reality TV not real? And as you know, we all know it's not. But you know, just I suspended my disbelief for a second there. So apparently, he's quite the man whore.
Oh, her name was Jessica.
Yeah. That girl with the wine and like well, he's just too young for me. I don't know. I have commitment issues. I liked it better when we weren't seeing each other physically.
Which is weird, but she apparently, according to ET Online, she is leaving. She left him after cheating claims.
And there's another woman backing up the story.
I should rewatch that show. That was great television.
You know what else is great television? And this is the first and only season I've watched, Temptation Island, where couples go to islands and they get separated into guys and girls cabins or whatever, and then they bring a bunch of singles to those cabins of the opposite sex.
What is this? Where is this?
So I've been streaming it through the Bravo app.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like an NBC thing.
But if it's on I have the Bravo app.
Mm-hmm. You can, Temptation Island.
So the couples go into guys and girls cabins.
Okay, so
And
they're all
then
straight couples, obviously.
Well, I figured they were straight couples if they go to guys and girls, because that makes zero sense. Wait, is someone bi?
Not on this season.
Well, but then, like, as that makes no sense, because I feel like they would bring girls into the guys' cabin and guys into the girls' cabin, so being bi, like, really makes no sense.
Well, unless they want to, like, get it on with one of the other people who were in the couple.
Ooh, that would be juicy.
So it's usually, like, so it's kind of like The Bachelor, but with multiple bachelors.
It's like
and
The Bachelor
Bachelorette
meets, like, Survivor. That's the vibes I'm getting.
meets like, I don't know, Love is Blind meets, I don't know. It's really convoluted, but the whole premise is
It sounds very trashy, and I'm here for it.
There's this one guy who is America's most hated guy right now if you watch that show. And it's not going to take you very long to figure out who he is, because he's trash.
Wait,
from
is
day
he,
one.
like, physically America's most hated guy? Or like you just don't like?
From reality TV standpoint, and, like, the Twitter sphere, the consensus is he is trash.
Okay.
So, Rex, you better, cue that up on your Bravo app.
I will definitely check this out, because...
So my media is Temptation Island, and also a note for listeners that I get to have my feminist card revoked today, not only because I watch trashy reality TV and I'm unapologetic about it because it's wonderful.
The best form of television.
But also because I did not realize that the new show that I've been obsessed with, The Nevers, on HBO, I'm streaming it on HBO Max, because who watches cable anymore, is written and created and directed by Joss Whedon, who I had canceled from my life. And yet here I am again. And now it's too late, because I'm 2 episodes in, and now I need to know what happens. So take away my feminist card, everyone. That's it.
But you know what? We still love you.
Well, debatable. If I can't even love myself after this, who will? Anyhow, Rex, I think we've done it.
I think we did.
We have peppered this episode with housewife references.
That's all you need.
This has made my life. And next week, Rex, you won't be joining me.
Sadly, I won't. But
our friend Ario is going to join us. And we're going to talk about chapter 33 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and it's called Fight and Flight, which could also be a great Housewives title for an episode.
That would be a really good episode title for, like, it
would be like
any reality
like
show.
a vacation. Like, it's going to be a vacation episode where someone throws a wine glass at someone else across the table.
Oh, did you watch Potomac?
Did I watch Potomac? Yes, I did. It's only the best Housewives franchise.
Well,
right now.
I think Salt Lake is going to be good, especially with the recent Jen Shah drama.
I was gonna say, by the way, did you know that they're filming while that happened?
Yeah, they were filming when that happened. Like, I'm I'm excited for Jen Shah to say, I have to go. Screen goes black. White text appears. Jen Shah gets arrested.
And then the mugshot? Yes, that's all I need in my life.
And then, like, from my understanding, they paused filming for, like, a day. And then I saw on Twitter that, I don't know who, but I know Heather was out at lunch with another housewife. I just saw Heather's face. That's the only reason why I know Heather's. And they were, like, getting lunch in Colorado. And they had to be talking about Jen Shah getting arrested.
Definitely a setup to say, okay, ladies, now you gotta discuss this shit that's going on. If you've enjoyed this conversation, listeners, please rate us on Apple Podcasts and give us 5 stars, because, as we say, we thrive on external validation in this podcast. Or at least that's what I say, while Helene is like, it helps us get new listeners, but also that,
Oh, validation's good.
It's how we all thrive, honestly. Let's not lie to ourselves. But until then, politics managed. Support this show by going to patreon.com/Occhiopolitics. Our patrons keep this show going. You can find us online at Occhiopolitics.com, and we are at Occhiopolitics on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can email us your thoughts at info@Occhiopolitics.com. Leave us a voicemail at 915-996-1699. And you might just hear yourself on the podcast. Adriana Wilson is the founder and creative director of the podcast. Helene Karp is the producer and social media manager. Allison Pullman is the audio wizard and editor who makes us sound so good. Cover art and physical rewards are designed by Adriana Wilson. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are expressly their own and not representative of their employers or associates. Occhiopolitics is part of the MuggleNet family of podcasts.